after a while, they said, just don't come back because the dealership is closing down. So I bought an extended warranty through them with my truck. And after the dealership closed down, I was kind of confused on where I would use my extended warranty at because that Ford dealer's not there anymore. So I was like, man, I could try to use this anywhere. I'll use this. Eventually, I became a general manager at my own shop. And when I was managing that shop, I noticed that a couple days on the way to work, I would hear a bearing type sound on the highway, and then I would hear kind of like a grinding noise and turns and stuff coming from the front end. And I pinpointed it to the pinion bearing in the front differential. So I called up the extended warranty company, and they said, hey, we can't approve you to do this work at your shop. Well, why? Well, because this extended warranty was sold at this dealer. I said, well, how can I go back to that dealer? It's closed down. I was an employee there. I bought the policy from them. They're no longer in business. Well, actually, if you read through the policy, it actually says the origin of the contract is like the overall auto group. So it doesn't necessarily just have to go back to that Ford dealer. It has to stay at one of the facilities in that auto group. And I was like, whoa, I'm in Chicago. That auto group is like an hour and a half away, hour and 45 minutes away from me. I'm not driving out there to drop my truck off at a Chrysler dealer where they don't have Ford techs and stuff that specialize in this stuff. I do specialize in it. I'd rather rebuild it myself and know 100% that it's exactly the way it's supposed to be because I've done so many of these. I'm really good at them. They said, well, unfortunately, unless that company, their HR department or whoever it is that's in their warranty department, releases the hold on this contract to your facility, I cannot allow you to do the work, and you get paid through us. So I says, okay, let me figure this out then. So I call up the HR department out there, and I start working with the HR girl, and the HR girl says, you know what, let me do some calling around and stuff like that. Let me figure out what we can and can't do. And they said, you know, technically you should be bringing that truck to our Elgin Chrysler facility. But you are kind of far away, so we also do understand, and you're a previous employee. Don't know how much the previous employee actually factored into this, but it did factor into it to an extent. And they knew I knew how to do the work because I used to work for the Ford dealer in their auto group. She says, we're going to go ahead and allow you to do the repairs on the truck, and we're going to go ahead and give you like $4,000 to it. We're just going to cut you a $4,000 check and be done with it. We know that's way over what it is, but we want to make sure you're covered and taken care of. We're going to write you a $4,000 check, rebuild the front end of that thing, and we're out of this, basically. We're done at this point because the Ford dealer's not there. The contract is pretty limited when it comes to what you can and can't do. And you're within a reasonable distance to have the vehicle actually towed back here. Unfortunately, maybe you didn't read the fine print, but it does state that it needs to come back to this dealership group, especially if you're within, you know, a reasonable amount of time distance-wise. It's like 50 miles or, you know, 100 miles or something like that. So technically, we should be charging you the tow fee to tow that back to our auto group here, and then we would then pick up the bill on the repairs and stuff, and you would just pay whatever your, you know, $400 deductible, $200 deductible. I forget exactly what it was. It was something small. And I was like, wow, I didn't really know that. And they said, yeah, you got to read the contract. I said, well, the salesman didn't sit down and tell me that when he was like signing me up for it. And I'm an employee, and he didn't tell me that it has to come back to this dealership. And they were like, yeah, that's basically how it works. And so fast forward later on, there was a salesman I was talking to at a different dealership I was working at, and I went up to him and I said, hey, honestly, I got a question for you. You're pretty honest with me. Me and him bullshit all the time with each other. I says, do you tell the customers when you sell the extended warranty, the aftermarket extended warranty to them, do you tell them that within, like, you know, let's just say the policy says it's a 50-mile radius, do you tell them that they have to bring the vehicle back to this facility? He was like, no, I don't say that, because if I say that, then they're probably not going to buy the policy, and I'd get a little bit of a bonus off of selling the policy. So I don't tell them that, because that would push a lot of customers away, because they want to be able to use their extended warranty where they need to use it at a legitimate repair facility. But he said, you know, if they're so far away, if they're out of state and stuff like that, obviously we're not going to have the car towed back here. We're going to work with whatever the repair shop is. But if you're close by, they're going to fight for that vehicle tooth and nail. And sure enough, at that same place, I found out that there was a customer that was like 45 minutes away at another facility And they actually had an issue where it was like a wheel bearing and tie rod, and the shop wanted to do the repairs that they took it to, and the owner of the auto group said, no, read the contract, have it towed back here, have them drive it here. If it's safe to drive and it's just clicking and popping a little bit and it can still be driven, have them drive it back here. We're not going to authorize another shop to do the repairs. So either that customer had to pay the diagnosis fee because they didn't read the contract fully, or the dealer paid the diagnosis fee, and I forget if it was towed. I think it was towed, and the dealer also paid for the tow. And I asked that salesman, I was like, so every customer that goes through the same situation, they're going to be on the phone like, hey, what the hell? He said, yeah, we're told to not say certain things whenever we sell the contracts. Well, there you go. Another story. I talked about this previously. There was a paint protection program at the dealer that I worked at in Dundee before them. It used to be called Friendly Ford. They're no longer around anymore, but it used to be called Friendly Ford. And they had a 7-year paint protection program where they'd have touch-ups and stuff done like that as a little warranty that you'd buy when you purchased the car through them. Well, new owners came in. They bought the dealership out. And naturally, these are things that are not talked about. That paint protection program that customers were still coming in with the receipts for, pink receipt that says, hey, I paid for all this. Here it is on contract. They said, no, it's no longer valid with new ownership. That was the old ownership. They agreed to that with you. With new ownership now, we have to sign a completely different contract with you if that's something that we wanted to do, and that's not something that we offer. So, sorry you paid the extra money. You know, it might have been $500 or something like that, or whatever it is, but sorry you paid the money for that. It doesn't transfer to us unless that's negotiated at the signing of the business, the keeping the contracts and stuff going, which never is. Just like when technicians agree to a certain amount to come on board and pay, and get paid with a certain service manager or general manager, they agree to that contract. But then when a new service manager or general manager comes in, a lot of times those contracts have to be rewritten because it's new management. People don't know that. That's absolutely legitimate. And as a technician, if you're not happy with how you get paid, or you get fired without your direct pay, say you make $40 an hour and you get fired and they only pay you minimum wage times the amount of hours you were actually clocked in on the clock in and out app, which could be Paycom or anything else, it's legal for them to do that. They don't have to pay you your contract money because that's a civil court thing. That's not a labor board thing. I went and inquired about this at the labor board, and the labor board actually says because you're a service to the public and there's a private contract between you and the management, that doesn't mean that we have to enforce that $40 an hour. But we can enforce state minimum wage times the amount of hours clocked in. But we can't enforce. So you're going to force $8.50 for 40 hours that I was clocked in versus $40 an hour times the 40 hours I was clocked in? Yes. That's the ins and outs of this business that people don't understand. And I know there's probably a shit ton of you techs out there that are going to be like, oh, no, they're paying me my 40. No, you got to take them to civil court. So if they really wanted to push back enough, you're not entitled to your 40. You're entitled to minimum wage times the amount of hours that you're clocked in. And that's it. Your contract is between you and management. It's not between you and the labor board. So you're not guaranteed that $40 an hour. So there's the extended warranty experience that you could run into, like my scenario. And then there's the 7-year paint protection plan that sometimes becomes null and void. And then there's your technician pay that can be taken away from you without you being able to do anything about it unless you're willing to pay a couple $1,000s to go get a lawyer, and that's your check anyway, so you just wasted a bunch of money. So you may as well take the lick and just find another dealer. And then there is the whole lifetime warranty stuff. I've heard a lot of people say, I got a lifetime warranty with Toyota. I've got a lifetime warranty with Toyota. It all depends on how it was written. Lifetime warranty, powertrain lifetime warranty, a lot of times specifically states only with that dealer. But you're not told that a lot of times. Only with that dealer. Now, there are some where you can go to other dealers. I do agree. They are out there. But they're not as common as the ones that say, bring it back to this dealer. And you can be bit. There's a lot of dealers that if you're not changing the oil with them, it's in that contract that says you must change the oil with us and nobody else. Or you might have an extended warranty out there that says, you know, all this engine stuff is covered, this powertrain stuff is covered. You've been getting all your oil changes and stuff at the dealer. But this time you're out of town, you're at a grease monkey or a Valvoline or something like that, and they say, hey, you're coming up on 100,000 miles. It'd be nice to do an engine flush. It doesn't look like it's been done in a while here, you know. And you say, you know what, go ahead and do the engine flush. Go ahead and do a Valvoline engine flush, and let's go ahead and change the oil with the right oil that goes in it. They flush the engine. Everything's fine. They change the oil. Everything's fine. A couple thousand miles later, chain breaks. Call the extended warranty up. They ask for all the receipts on where you got the oil change done. Oh, it was at the dealer. Valvoline engine flush and then an oil change. We're not covering this. Why? It was a authorized oil change. It was a legit oil change by the contract. Yeah, but they did an engine flush before this engine, the timing chain went. Well, what does that have to do with? What does that have to do with the chain breaking 2,000-3,000 miles later? It's just, it's got 100,000 miles on it. The chain snapped. And now I need an engine. That's what the extended warranty is supposed to cover. No, because you had that engine flush. We don't know what happened. We don't know what chemicals are in that engine flush. We don't know if that engine flush is actually what caused this or not. But because you did that, we're assuming that's the reason why right after it, 3,000 miles later, the chain broke. You're not covered. Your warranty is invalid now. I know somebody going through that right now. That can even kill your lifetime warranty with the dealer as well, because you were supposed to go back to that dealer to get the oil changes done. You were supposed to go back to that dealer to get certain repairs and stuff done. So that's why they hold you by the balls. They got you by the balls and they don't even tell you that this is the policy. This is what has to be done. If you don't do these things, your lifetime warranty is no good. Your extended warranty is no good. Even if they can't prove that that engine flush is what broke that timing chain with some of these aftermarket extended warranties, they'll still push it until you challenge and push back and spend hours and hours and hours and hours on the phone bringing up the Magnus and Moss Act and everything else. Like, you have to prove, as an extended warranty, you have to prove that this flush is what broke this chain. If you can't prove that, you can't deny my extended warranty. But there's so many extended warranties out there that will just flat out say, too bad, tough titty said the kitty. Your extended warranty's done, son. What do? You know, do you fight, waste a lot of time? That engine's going to cost thousands of dollars to replace. Or do you just cut your losses, go get a different vehicle? It's a hard decision to make, but these are the ins and outs of the business, the auto industry. These are the ins and outs of what we have to deal with as technicians, and you as the consumer have to deal with, and even me as the technician that bought an extended warranty that didn't even understand the extended warranty completely because I didn't read the fine print. I hope you find this information interesting. I'm going to be breaking this up and be all over the place talking about this because I've got a fire in me right now to educate you guys on the ins and outs of what happened in the business. I've always had this fire, but for some reason right now it's burning very hot. And I want to help you guys out as a consumer, and I want to help you understand our position as technicians in the dealership. We really want to do the best for you. We really want the best for us. A lot of times the manufacturer and management at the dealerships don't allow that to happen. Y'all be blessed. Take care. And at the end of the day, you got to look out what's best for you. I love y'all. I'm out.